These are the notes for 8.5, expanding a binomial. So in order to expand a binomial, x plus y raised to any power, we use Pascal's triangle to help us with the coefficients. This is instead of, let's say, we want to expand something like x plus 2 to the fourth. Instead of having to take x plus 2 and rewriting it 4 times and then foiling it all out, we can use binomial expansion, so we have a much shorter way to figure out what this binomial would FOIL out to. So to do that, we use Pascal's triangle, and to create Pascal's triangle, you always start with a 1 and then 2 ones below it on either side. And this is going to be the top of your triangle. In order to get the other rows, you always start with a 1 and then take the 2 numbers above, add them together. So in this case, the answer is 2. So a 2 will go below in between those 2 numbers, and then we always end with a 1. So to do the next row, we're going to start with a 1, add 1 and 2 together and get 3, and then add 2 and 1 together and get another 3, and then end with a 1. And this triangle keeps going forever. So we can write down as many rows as we want. So we'll just go to the 5th row. And the reason that this is the 5th row is because the very tippy top of the triangle is considered row 0. And then the next row down is row 1, and then row 2. You can always tell what row it is by the second number in the row. So this would be row 2 since there's a 2 in it. This would be row 3 since there's a 3 in it, and so on and so forth. So now we're going to use Pascal's triangle to help us expand x plus 2 raised to the 4th. So the first thing we're going to do is make sure that we're using the 4th row since this is being raised to the 4th power. So I'm just going to highlight the 4th row, or circle it. So these are the numbers that we're going to use for our coefficients. So since 1 is the first number in the row, we're going to use that as our first coefficient. And then we're going to take the first term, which happens to be an x, and we're going to raise that to the highest exponent possible, which would be 4 since it's raised to the 4th power. And then we're going to take the second term, which is 2, and we always raise the second term to the 0 power to start off with. So that would be our first term of our expansion. Our next term, we use the second term in our row for our coefficient, so we're going to use a 4. And then we're going to take our x, and we're going to go 1 exponent down. So instead of raising it to the 4th, we're going to raise it to the 3rd. And then I take my next term, which is 2, and we're going to go up 1. So I'm going to raise it to the 1st power. For our third term, we use the third term in the row, so we're going to use a 6. And then for our x, we're going to go down 1 and use a 2. And for our 2, we're going to go up 1. So we have a 2. For our next term, we use the next term in the row, so we have a 4. X is going to go down 1, so it's going to be raised to the 1st. And 2 is going to be raised to the 3rd. And then for our very last term, we have a 1. We're going to take our x and raise it to the 0 power, and then we're going to have 2 raised to the 4th. So now we're almost done with our expansion. The last thing that we have to do is simplify. So if I look at the first term, I have 1 times x to the 4th times 2 to the 0. And 2 to the 0 is just 1, so I have x to the 4th. My next term, I'm going to have 4 times 2 to the 1st, which would be 8, and then an x cubed. For my third term, I have 2 squared, which is 4, and 4 times 6 is 24, so I have 24x squared. For my fourth term, I have 2 cubed, which is 8, and 8 times 4 is 32. And for my last term, I have 1 times x to the 0, which is just 1, times 2 to the 4th, which is 16. So x to the 4th plus 8x cubed plus 24x squared plus 32x plus 16 is my final answer. That's what I would have gotten if I took x plus 2, wrote it out 4 times, and FOILed away. So we can see that this way is much shorter. For the next problem, we're going to be using row 5, since this is being raised to the 5th power. So that's the row of Pascal's triangle that's going to tell me all my coefficients. So I'm going to start with a 1, and then take my 2x, put them in parentheses because I want to raise the whole thing to the 5th power. And then I have 3 to the 0 plus 5 times 2x raised to the 4th times 3 to the 1st, and then plus 10 times 2x to the 3rd times 3 squared plus another 10 times 2x squared 3 to the 3rd plus 5 times 2x to the 1st times 3 to the 4th, and I ran out of room, so I'm going to make this smaller, plus 1 times 2x to the 0 times 3 to the 5th. So now that I have it all expanded, I'm going to simplify, and for this particular problem, we need to be very careful with our exponents. The 2x raised to the 5 has to go to both the 2 and the x. So we're going to get 32x to the 5th. Now when we do the exponents for the second term, first raise 2 to the 4th power to get 16, and then multiply 16 by 3 to get 48, and then multiply 48 by 5, since that's the term out in front, and we'll get 240. So we have 240x to the 4th. For our next one, we have 2 cubed, which is 8, and then 3 squared, which is 9. So 8 times 9 is 72, times 10 would be 720x cubed. For our next one, we have 2 squared, which is 4, and 3 cubed, which is 27. So 4 times 27 would be 108. So 108 times 10 would be 1080. For our next term, we have 2 to the 1st times 5, which is 10. And then 10 times 3 to the 4th. 3 to the 4th is 81, so it would be 810. And then for our last one, we just have 3 to the 5th, which is 243. For our next one, we have a negative in between the two terms. Whenever you have a negative in between two terms, you're going to do the same thing except the signs are going to alternate. So we want to use again the 4th row of Pascal's triangle since it's being raised to the 4th. So we have 1 times 3x to the 4th times y to the 0. And since that's positive, we're going to make the next one negative. So then we have 4 times 3x to the 3rd, y to the 1st, and now we're going to do a positive, so we're alternating. Then we have 6 times 3x squared, y squared, minus 4 times 3x to the 1st, y cubed, and then plus 1 times 3x to the 0, y to the 4th. So now we just need to simplify. So we'll have 81 x to the 4th minus 3 cubed, which is 27, times 4. So last time that came out to 108. So 108 x cubed y. And then 3 squared is 9 times 6 would be 54. X squared, y squared. And then we have 12 xy cubed plus y to the 4th for our final answer.